Hello and welcome back to AC's Make and Repair. In this video I have an old radial arm saw that I thought some of you people would like to see me get back to running condition. It hasn't been working for some time. I didn't know till we started repairing it what the problem was, and it came quite apparent quite quickly, but we were able to repair it. So I just thought some of you would be interested in seeing this process, and I'm interested in old workshop machinery, so I thought I'd just bring you along for the journey. Okay, let's get into it. Well, here it is. Doesn't look like a radial arm saw. It looks like rather a stacking spot for offcuts and every other bit of scrap timber in the workshop. But it got neglected. It's beside another docking saw we have, and first thing we'll have to do is clean this mess off. But I'll just give you a quick overview of what it looks like in its current state before we repaired it. It's a Sawmaster. It's made by Anglo-Australian Engineering. Like I say, it'll be at least 60 years old, I'd say, and but it was a good saw when we had it in use. So let's clean this off now and get into it and start repairing it. So first up, it was just a matter of relocating some of these offcuts and bits of scrap, and then give it a quick blow down. I gave it a quick blow down here and got all the excess dust off it, and open up the area a bit so we could work on it. As you can see, the belt's fairly had it, and there's no way it's going to run this machine at all. I don't think it's 60 years old, but it's got a bit of age about it, and it obviously shredded the last time I used it. This is the adjusting bolt, so we'll just loosen that down and remove the old belt. I have got several other belts lying around. I usually keep a lot of belts in store, some second hand, some good ones, and hopefully I've got one this size to replace it with to get it back up and running. So I dug out probably a dozen or so belts that I thought could be the size, and brought them in, and I proceeded to try and test fit as many as I could to see which one came close. I will probably eventually buy a new one. It's just that we're out of town and it wasn't worth the drive, the 40 kilometre drive to town to replace this. Amazing how some are just a little bit too long or just a little bit too short. Quite frustrating. Well, I finally found a belt that did fit and fitted it on there, and I just adjusted the bolt up to suit. So I finally got around to digging out the lead and plugging it in, and before I put the guard back on properly, I thought I'd give it a test run, make sure it's running okay, and it didn't want to run. So that's the way it goes with some of these old gear. I wondered if there was more than one problem, so I hit the switch and it didn't want to start. Surmised straight away the way it was starting to hum and it didn't want to turn. That it's obviously could be the start capacitor, and so I thought I'll give it a bit of a spin to see if it starts. And it didn't want to start, so I loosened the tensioning bolt back off and just to try to give it a little bit of a helping hand to start, because sometimes it's been sitting for a while, they play up a bit. Anyhow, it still didn't want to start. So I removed the belt, thought I'd give it a helping hand to see if the motor runs without being under load at all in any way. So I removed the belt and spun it a few times and tried starting it, didn't want to start. So I ended up spinning it and hitting the switch at the same time, and it started straight away. Indicated to me the start capacitor was gone and was playing up. That'll have to be replaced. And as you can see, a heap of hornet's nest comes out of it and dust. So I got around and I blew it out again after I'd given it a run. So after blowing all the dust and that out, it still didn't want to start under its own steam, so the capacitor had to be replaced. So after a lot of mucking around, second-hand belt that I found amongst my stuff that's not crash hot, I'll get another one when I'm in town next. We're quite a fair way from town, so it's a 40 kilometre run, so I'm not going to go to town just to pick up a belt. I've got to go in a couple of days' time, so I'll pick one up then. But otherwise, the belt seems to line up okay. Probably needs to come over whisker at the bottom, I think. And then I'll put the cover back on and just give it a bit of a test run, make sure she's going okay. Yeah, it seems to start okay and run okay. I'll just clean that up a bit. Maybe tap that pulley on a little bit more, just to make it doesn't seem to line up exactly right. So I'll sort that out. Yeah, it could go over definitely a little bit. Alright, no worries. That's one part of it done. I'm just giving it a quick test here just to make sure it's running okay, and like the blade needs sharpening quite a bit, quite dull. That's a fairly old blade. I'll have a look at it, give it a bit of touch up, see how it runs in. But it seems to run okay, just the blade blunt, and it seems to be sliding okay too. So I set it up in this cheap blade grinder I have. That's not a bad little blade grinder. Yeah, and I just gave it a quick touch up, and I'll explain a bit more of that when I'm finished. You don't get to see all the footage of me sharpening, as I recorded it, but it didn't seem to save it. So here's that trenching head I was telling you about. This is the same as the one I can remember using, or very similar to the one I can remember using. It's fairly big brass trenching head. There's your cutters. And that goes on the end of the spindle just there. Well, you take your cover off, that slips on where your blade goes, and your nut goes up against this side here. I think that's the way it goes. Yeah, that's the only way it can go. But it fits perfectly on the shaft, the spindle there. That's why the guard's so wide. Like I said, this actually weighs about probably, I would say, probably 4 to 5 kilo, probably about 8 to 10 pound, and it's fairly heavy. And when it's swinging around at 2800 RPM, you know, you want to make sure it's sharp, or else it does grab. I can remember using them as a young fella. You took your time and care with it, that's for sure. You didn't race through checking out the plates, that's for sure. I just sort of, some of you guys might like to see that. That's about 8 inches in diameter. Well, maybe a little, just under a bit, probably 7 and a bit inches, probably about 170 millimeters, something like that, 75. Anyhow, there you go. Thanks for joining us today on this video. Well, we got it running again. Well, that's a good thing. The blade's not crash hot. I noticed there was a lot of badly chipped teeth. Obviously had a bit of damage from some old nails or screws or something over the years. I generally am careful, but sometimes you'll come across something in a bit of second-hand timber that's not quite healthy. And I noticed that on the blade as I was sharpening. I just gave it a quick touch up because I noticed it wasn't that good to repair. The capacitor had to be replaced. As you saw, I replaced the belt. But it's running again, that's the main thing. And look, it does nice square cuts, this saw. And you can also do some joinery on it too. And trenching cuts as such. So that's great. Thanks for joining us. And if you liked it, please like and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one. Please share me with your friends. That'll be helpful too. Okay, bye.